Hello, and a very, very warm welcome to a brand new episode of Gadget Nation. Where am I exactly? I'll tell you. Society Cafe here, KL Pack, and it is absolutely wonderful. Loving the surroundings around me. But anyhow, what do we have on the show today? How about the evolution of social media? How about a brand new offering from Canon, the successor to one of my favorite cameras? And of course, what has Avery got in store first? We'll find out later on. Let me grab a seat. Let's start.
We believe that having opportunities for intimate interaction with founders who have done this process before is one of the key aspects of building a very healthy ecosystem. So with Startup Malaysia, our goal is to bring as many Silicon Valley icons as possible, and in some cases it's going to be in a large event like Startup Malaysia last October, but sometimes it's going to be a more intimate setting where people will be able to ask questions and have a good hour and a half to 2 hours discussion with the founder. April 23rd and 24th, Startup Malaysia is going to be hosting a bootcamp together with GIST, which is a US State Department funded initiative. And we're going to invite hundreds of entrepreneurs to work on very specific skills. We'll have mentors, we'll have a seminar for journalists. It's going to be a big celebration, very high profile. We'll bring speakers too in April. And in July, we have another event, but in Silicon Valley. So after this process, we'll have selected the top entrepreneurs from Malaysia. We'll bring them to Silicon Valley to the program that I mentioned earlier, which is called uNoodle Camp. And it's going to be in July, and there's more information on unoodlecamp.com.
What? Where's my phone? I need my phone. I need to update my... Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm acting there. What I was trying to say was, when I don't have my phone, I feel like I can't update my social networking. Obviously, there's a whole bunch. I could check into Foursquare. I could be bouncing about somewhere in Instagram, Path. But there's a new boy in town, and it's growing really, really fast. So we wanted to point it out to you before you started seeing it everywhere. It's called Pinterest. What makes it different? What makes it cool? And how is it good for business? It's time for First Look. Let's talk about social networking for a little bit. You probably got Facebook or Twitter, or perhaps both. I know I do, I know a lot of other people do, but there has to be an evolution of social networking. So we're slowly but surely seeing new apps really come to the forefront. Namely, Instagram is something that I use as well. Path, another one I use. And something that's come up on the radar, not only in the US, but slowly worldwide, is Pinterest. So, how does this help businesses? How does it help friends know where each other are and what their interests are? Let's just expand a little bit about it. First Look. Let's go through it right here. Now, as I open it up, here's what you can see. Now, you have people you're following, and there is no privacy. This has to be said. Unlike something like Path, where you have to approve anybody that follows you. And in fact, every time you open Path, you can see people that've been to your page itself. That is top in terms of privacy. Now, Pinterest has no privacy settings. You can follow anybody you like. You don't even have to follow a user. You can follow their board and so forth. So as I go through here, there's a similar thing we see everywhere, a timeline. Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Path, they all have that, a timeline. That's how you browse whoever you're following. Now, where things get a little bit different is it's all about pictures here. So you're not just taking a picture. It's called a pin in this. Now, this is where things can expand in terms of retail. You create a board. So I can go here, take a picture, and paste it to one of my boards, which I have already created. Now, anybody can follow your board. You can follow anybody else's board. This is where things become interesting for retail. There's one company out there who say that a small percentage of all their traffic and all their sales have actually come through Pinterest. It takes one person to say, oh, I like, say, a dress, put it up, tag it, and there you have it. It's on the board, and word of mouth develops from there. It shows how big it's becoming in the US. Fastest app to really hit 10 million as a social network in the fastest time, I should add. And really, it's growing fast. In fact, you can view different categories and you can see exactly there, and that's where word of mouth starts, depending on your interests. So it's quite useful in terms of promoting your business and also checking out other people's businesses. But of course, what we have here and all of these apps cannot stand alone. You can't create something new and really expect it to take off. Obviously, it will happen one day. New, huge apps will develop. But right now, why not synergize it all together? That's what all of them are doing. On my Instagram, I can sync it up with Twitter and my Facebook, Tumblr if I had it as well, etc. How did I even discover it in the first place? Instagram, for example, or Path? I saw it on my Facebook timeline. When you send something via Path or Instagram or Pinterest, it will say exactly where it's from. That's how you build up your app name. You just utilize Facebook and you utilize Twitter. Why not? I think it works very well in that way. You don't need to stand alone. You can synergize everything. And in terms of for businesses, it's a great way to grow. In fact, when you go out and you meet someone, quite often you'll end up asking, hey, do you have Facebook? Do you have Twitter? Does your business have Twitter? Does your business have a Facebook page? And now you go to all these events and they're advertising their Facebook page, they're advertising their Twitter page. And that's exactly how things are growing right now. In fact, even as a personal user, you can get paid for your tweets. Amazing! That's the future. And I have to say, Pinterest is just another part of it. I can't wait to see what else comes out. Sometimes during the show, I come across products which I really like and I might even end up buying it. And sometimes I'm just so impressed, I can't really help it. Now this is one of those times because we're looking at a camera, I've seen the predecessor, how good is the successor? Let's find out a little bit more in Gadget Scope. What I have in my hands is a brand new camera from Canon. And you know what? I'm a fan of this so far. Why? Let me tell you, a little bit of history. The S95, we've seen it on the show. I loved it a lot. In fact, I ended up purchasing one for myself. So it's a justification in spending over 1,500 ringgit on the S100. Naturally, the successor to the S95, which is what I'm holding here in my hands. Well, to be honest, it's almost like a brand new camera, even though the shell outside makes it look like, well, it's effectively the same camera. Trust me, there's a lot more to this. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. So, what makes it a bit different? 3 key elements amongst a host of other features I'm just going to point out firstly. We now have a brand new Canon Digic 5 processor, so obviously that speeds things up, and that certainly adds different elements. But what about the image sensor? 12.1 megapixels Canon made. Now they say it's comparable to their high-end cameras, so obviously when the images come out, they come out very clear, very good at gathering light, noise reduction, and so forth. Those are the two key elements that have made almost the picture quality taking even better. Also, the lens range has been extended as well, so it allows you more zoom, and the aperture remains the same. But I have to say, I'm very, very impressed in that aspect. Now, other elements they've added in, you may notice one thing at the top. Let me switch it off for a second. Right there, it says GPS. So it's got an inbuilt GPS chip now, which allows geotagging, a really cool feature if you've ever tried it out for your pictures. Now, it will even detect when your camera is off, so I find that pretty cool as well. I'm actually going to be going overseas. I'm going to test it out once I get overseas, just to see how accurate it is. So what else makes it cool? Well, all sorts of features, but one thing which I'm really enjoying using is full HD video recording. Obviously that comes pretty much standard with most of the new products that we're seeing nowadays, but it's awesome that they have put it on this. And it's pretty good if you ask me. Little cool things like slow motion, you can capture it and put it on your computer, upload it to Facebook. It looks really nifty. In terms of the overall design, I haven't really talked about it simply because it looks very similar to the S95, which you've seen on the show already. And I have to say once again, it is a very good camera. This one just adds to it. It boosts everything up that you would think needs boosting. The image quality is even better than the S95. There are more features to this. The design is about the same, so if you're used to that, you should be able to use this absolutely no problem. Niggling problems maybe would be the flash when it comes up. I find it a little bit hard to hold the camera, maybe it's just my hand size or something. But in terms of accessing stuff from the buttons, it's all very easy. I mean, it can only be so big because it is a compact camera at the end of the day. But this one is very highly recommended. If you have the cash, if you're not using the S95 or even the S90 for that matter, it's definitely worth looking into this camera for about 1,550, slightly less than that. Check it out. This has been the Canon S100.
I think when people talk about the social media revolution, what they're referring to is that many decades ago, starting with the radio and then with the TV, all the communications that most people saw were coming from a small group of people or companies or the government. And it was really a one-way broadcast of messaging through newspapers as well. And the average person didn't really have any say in the content that was produced. And even if you were an individual that produced your own content, there was no way for you to get it out. So I think that when people talk about the social media revolution, it's about the enablement of individuals, of groups of people, to have broad-based communications with each other that don't require these sort of very few people or companies. So I think that's what people are talking about. And I think that the social media revolution has obviously been enabled by the internet. There was, when the internet first came out, that was a bit of a social media revolution because we had chat rooms and instant messaging services. But just in the last 10 years with the advent of Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, it's just getting better and better for that. So that's what people are talking about. Well, I think if you look at what we're trying to do with Google Plus, our philosophy is that we should make the web and Google services all better by making them more social. And so whether that's Google Search or YouTube or Gmail or any of our services, we think that they can all be better when your friends are built into that process, when you can see search results from your friends, when you can see the videos that your friends have liked. We think that that will make the web better. So, you have social networks that are purely for communications. There's a whole, variety of different types of social services out there. But first and foremost, we can think that we can take these very, very useful, powerful tools like search and YouTube, etc., and make them all better. And I think that a core part of Google Plus is also about sharing the right types of information with the right people at the right time. So whereas, some social networks, again, are about just broadcasting messages to everyone, we're really trying to allow you to pick the right people to share with, and then do that in interesting ways like the Hangouts feature that we have. So like having group Hangouts, video Hangouts with friends, with family, with whoever, that's kind of a new thing as well. In Asia Pacific, I'm working with Toyota and Uniqlo. They're doing a really good job. And Toyota, they're operating in many countries across the world. And what they're using Google Plus for is to kind of show off their technology innovation. So they're showing off, new cars and some really cool new things they're doing. Like they were at the Detroit Auto Show in the US and kind of posting live photos from their new cool new things they were launching. And they're also using that page to, like the space for images at the top, they're using that to kind of launch new products as well. So like every time you go back to their page, you might see a different image. So I think that's really interesting. And they have something like 300,000 followers, which is really big. I think also to that Hangouts feature, I talked about that group video chat. President Obama actually, after the State of the Union address to the US Congress, had a hangout with average American citizens, and tens of thousands of people tuned in to watch that, and it was something that he promoted from the White House homepage, from his Google Plus page, from YouTube. The Muppets, when they launched a new movie, had a hangout with Google Plus with Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy. So you can see the variety. It's like kind of all over the place, from politicians to brands, movies, whatever. In Asia, in the recent Taiwanese presidential elections, all the major candidates were on Google Plus, and that was actually like the first major example of a political use for Google Plus. And so I think that's interesting, where kind of Asia took the lead. We're seeing it used for charity as well. So with Thailand floods, we saw a couple NGOs using Hangouts to actually show people what the conditions were like. After the Japanese tsunami, there's a person called Ryuichi Sakamoto. I'm not sure if I got the pronunciation right. But again, he was a Japanese celebrity that was using Google Plus to kind of solicit donations. So there's a whole variety of examples. Yeah.
He's been really, really secretive recently. He doesn't tell me anything anymore. He just waits till the episode comes on air till I can actually see exactly what he's prepared for us. He said something along the lines of mobile gaming, talking about Avery. The segment, it's Gamer Station.
Ooh, that's tart, pure lemon juice. Avery Score here with the Gamer Station, chilling out in Haven, not so far from Jalantin Razek, where it's an organic food store, and there's nothing more organic, nothing more wholesome, I would say, than strapping on a jetpack, blowing up some scientists, collecting some cash on the way. And that's exactly what we're going to do in a few moments with Jetpack Joyride, another fantastic title from Half-Brick Studios, over from Australia. Now, if you're familiar with Barry Steak Fries from, for example, Monster Dash, a few other games, you know that he's a hard-boiled, take-no-prisoners, attitude-ridden individual, and this time is no exception. Pretty much if you watch the intro video on the internet, Barry Steak Fries, with what backstory there is sort of wandering around looking at a sales chart and wondering what he's doing with his life, when suddenly he sees a jetpack through a window in a secret science facility, and he pretty much runs amok throughout that facility, collecting coins along the way, using a variety of unique vehicles, such as a dragon that hangs out on the ceiling, whose actual name is Cuddles, or a piggy bank that throws 1928 issue $1,000 bills, and essentially moving your way throughout the maze. So if you played other kind of mobile titles, including Monster Dash, which also stars Barry Steak Fries, you're familiar with games that move automatically, so pretty much you're just responsible for going up and down and avoiding obstacles along the way. That's pretty much what you're doing here. In fact, the gameplay is deceptively simple because it's one touch. So you apply, and Barry Steak Fries rises up on one of many jetpacks or vehicles, and you let go, and he sinks down. That's pretty much all there is to playing this game. What makes it so enjoyable, so fun, is the mission structure, which is really endless, to be honest. And you're going to invest probably an inordinate amount of time playing this game and feel kind of dumb about it. That's definitely what happened to me, although I don't consider myself to be much of a casual gamer. I was definitely sucked in with this one and found myself at wee hours of the morning, laying in bed, playing this particular title. So there's this kind of mission structure, as I was saying, where you've got these little mini quests. You know, get close to a zapper 47 times, high five 20 scientists, fly into the lights, destroy Cuddles Lynn 5 times. And these are a bit repetitive, but because you earn cash for gaining up levels, which are earned when you accomplish these missions, and because these are quite easy to accomplish, you always have this feeling of wanting to get to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the game becomes quite addictive in its own right. One thing that's really sort of telling is that you don't need complicated gameplay, you don't need a lot of frills, you don't even need particularly fantastic graphics, even with modern hardware being what it is, in order to have an enjoyable experience on a mobile platform. This game has solid gameplay experience with one touch. It's got really good, nice menu systems, good production values overall, but at the end of the day, it's quite simplistic to the gameplay, and yet it's still one of the best, if not the best, iOS title of the previous year. And I don't just think so, it's all over the internet. So check it out. And for a limited time, because they were named Game of the Year by so many publications, this game is free to download, so it's a great opportunity for you to check it out before it becomes paid again. The next game in the lineup is Triple Town. Now this is quite an interesting title, very strategic, and once again, very simple premise. Essentially, you've got to collect and place 3 of a certain object to create another object, get 3 of those, get another object, so pretty much you start out with shrubbery. And then you get 3 of those placed alongside one another, you end up with a bigger shrubbery, which yields a tree, which yields a house, and 3 houses yield a townhouse, and so on and so forth. Additionally, you're going to spend quite a bit of your time corralling bears, some of whom are ninjas and kind of flit about the map in uncontrollable ways, and they're a huge nuisance. So if you're someone who enjoys strategically, in a kind of chess master way, corralling ninja bears, you're going to absolutely love Triple Town. This game is very, very strategic. I can't sort of stress that enough. You're going to have to be planning like 50 moves ahead in your head if you're the kind of person who can do that. I'm certainly not. You're going to find that you're very skilled at this particular title, and it's very rewarding to sort of see the fruits of your labor, like, oh yeah, I completely planned to have my townhouse here, it was a total accident, whatnot. So that's a game that has a lot of legs. Perhaps the only problem is that you're limited to 150 moves at a stretch, at least in the free version, at which point you have to wait for those moves to charge back up. Turning off your phone with such an addictive title is quite a challenge, but thanks to games like Monster Dash, I'm able to switch back and forth, no problem. I really wanted to call attention to this particular title by Spry Fox, which is pretty much a 2-man development house, because they were completely ripped off by Low Labs. Here's what happened. Essentially, they contacted Low Labs and were in negotiations with them for about 6 months. And Low Labs supposedly wanted to publish their application. So, hey, give us all your confidential documents, we sign NDAs, blah, 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 give us access to your source code. So, lo and behold, at the end of these 6 months, Spry Fox is called abruptly, negotiations finished, we're not interested in publishing your app any longer, too bad for you, and the very same day they released Yeti Town, which is an exact clone right down to the text, right down to, pretty much the sprites, the gameplay is identical, it's quite ridiculous. So go for the OG, the original, which is Triple Town, excellent game, very strategic. I'm gonna go back to my lemon, I'm gonna play some casual games. Zesty.
Well, it's the end of the episode for today. I want to give a big shout out to Society Cafe here at KLPack and KLPack themselves as well. It's been a lovely, lovely afternoon. Now, I'm going to tell you about something that might be coming up very soon on the show. That little partnership, Nokia, Windows, the phone, the Lumia. Might have that for you very, very soon. My name is Adam Carruthers. In the meantime, find us Twitter and Facebook. The Gadget is what to look out for. Bye-bye.